This is a GMKtec G10, a Ryzen mini PC that should blow away cheaper Intel boxes like the N95 or N100. But out of the box, it couldn't even play 4K YouTube videos smoothly. And worse, it actually lost in benchmarks to mini PCs that cost even less. In this video, we try everything to fix it. BIOS settings, updated drivers, faster RAM, better cooling. Can this Ryzen mini PC be saved? Let's find out. Welcome to Team Pandori.
Subscribble.
This mini PC came directly from GMKtec. It's the G10, it came from Gen, and we'll keep this video as unbiased as possible. In the box we get the mini PC, and it is beautiful. Fits in the palm of your hand, and we also get a manual. Many languages inside, as well as little mistakes like Toyn River. We also get a HDMI cable, around 1.5 meters in length, a 3-prong power cable, and as we're in Japan we get the US plug. And stepping away from the norm, we have a USB-C power brick. This one's a switching adapter, outputting at 19 volts and up to 3.42 amps. We get a VESA mount, as well as a warranty card. Boy! So let's get to the specs. What we have here is a mini PC running the Ryzen 3500U, and while the processor is a few years old, we've not really seen it in anything until now. This CPU should be able to outrun the regular line of Intel mini PCs, especially when we see it has a Vega 8 integrated GPU, seen earlier in the Ryzen 5700U. It's currently going for the budget end of the market at $189, and you can get another 5% off if you use that coupon. If Amazon doesn't like where you live, you can always check the GMK website. They usually have a few more options to choose from, and you might be able to grab a deal. Affiliate links are down below if you want to help this channel, at no extra cost to yourself. So let's have a closer look. Here it is, and yeah, it is a cutie. There's logos on the top, and it's made of plastic. From the side you can see a small gap where warm air can escape, and this goes all the way around. On the front we have the audio jack, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1s, and a nice green power switch. On the right we have the exhaust vent, and this is where warm air gets pushed out from the CPU heatsink. And on the back is where all the action is. Starting from the left we have the USB-C for power, another one for a USB 3.2 Gen 1, USB 2.0, and a yellow sticker. But what's underneath? Dun dun dun! A network port, and this should be good for up to 2.5 gigabits. At the top right we have HDMI 2.1 and DisplayPort 1.4, which should be good for 4K as well as ultra-wide 1440p. Oh yeah, and the Kensington lock. Moving down to the bottom, we have some labels, some gaps for air intake. You can see the fan in there. There are a few holes where you can use the VESA mount, or simply hook it up to a few screws in the wall. There are rubber feet in each corner, which will stop it from sliding around the desk. They're at a pretty decent height, so it should help with cooling. Wow! Anyway, it's about time for the size comparison. The GMKtec G10 is a bit smaller than the EQ13. Here's the Blackview MP100. Or maybe we'll compare it to something larger, like the GMKtec K10. It's much smaller than this. It's actually about the size of a floppy disk. Oh, these semi-translucent ones, they look so delicious. If you don't have one of them, here's a unicorn phone holder. Or maybe you prefer a rooibos tea bag. The GMKtec G10 is 1.5 times this way and that of a rooibos tea bag. So this is what came, and let's give it a test. Yes! On first boot, we're greeted to the Windows setup screen, where we choose our language, keyboard, and username. Then, after unticking all of these doofers, we're straight into Windows without needing to deal with wireless LAN or any rubbish from Microsoft. As you can see, the specs check out, and we have Windows 11 Pro 24H2 installed. We ran a full virus check with Windows Defender, and it came up with all clear. We also got thumbs up from Malwarebytes, as well as Avast, giving us a clean system. In order to get Windows activated, we need to go online, and if you want this to be linked to your Microsoft account, you should also log in. We started testing this mini PC by first browsing the internet. Everything seemed okay at first, but it became apparent that the system was somewhat sluggish at 4K, and this is just messing in Explorer. We then tried some YouTube at 4K, and unfortunately things were less than optimal, choppy, and multiple frame drops. As the system has Wi-Fi 5, we tried improving the Wi-Fi connection with this dongle, but again, frames continue to drop. We then tried to update the Adrenaline drivers. Updating from within the software was not possible, and even the drivers from the AMD website would fail installation. We then left it to update Windows, which took all night. After some rest, we got back to work. Updating Windows didn't speed anything up, so we increased the power limit in the BIOS. And at last, we got the performance that we expected from the start. To analyze the performance we gained, let's check the benchmarks. At the balance setting, the system is given 15 watts TDP, but the values in Geekbench are extremely underwhelming. Comparing it to similarly priced mini PCs, we can see it gets floored in the CPU department by those much cheaper. But let's see what happens in performance mode. Now at 35 watts TDP, we get 50% increase in multi-core performance, and also the GPU score has pretty much doubled. If we check it against the rest, holy cow, a huge difference. But CPU scores are still on the low side, and if we add the higher-ups to the chart, we can visualize things a little clearer. We left things in performance mode, let's get into more benchmarks. Here's some Time Spy, Firestrike, and Steel Nomad. Next up is Shizuku with our NVMe benchmark. While our read speeds are up to par, we're getting around half of what's expected with write speeds for a PCI 3 before. We'll check out what we've been given later on in the teardown. Next up is Wi-Fi strength test, and we're happy to see we have a good signal. It's just a shame we're stuck on the 2.4 GHz band unless we update the module. Anyway, let's check out some games. First up, Cuphead. And as you can see at 4K, it's not running that great. But if we lower it to 1080p, no problems here. Dave the Diver, on the other hand, is a bit more demanding. With our screen resolution set at 1080p, we're still hovering around 40 to 50 FPS, but at 720p, pretty much full speed. Next up is Rocket League. And very similar to Dave the Diver, at 1080p performance mode, this game doesn't quite hit that sweet spot. So again, 720p. Dota 2 at 1080p faster settings gives us a fairly unstable frame rate. It varies from around 30 all the way up to 80, and lowering graphics doesn't really help, so it's fair to say that the CPU may be the bottleneck in this situation. And Counterstrike 2 at 70p low settings could also be better, with varying amounts of choppy gameplay. Let's take a closer look at the BIOS. As mentioned earlier, we have the power limit select. Choices range from quiet, balanced, to performance mode, giving us 12, 15, and up to 35 watts. Outside that, there's not really much to mess with here. We do have frame buffer size, and further down the bottom in the hardware monitoring section, we can mess with the fan speeds, but unfortunately there are no slopes and it's not very precise. If you want to play Valorant, we have Secure Boot here, or if you're fed up with Windows, we can load up Linux. This is Batocera 41 booting up from an external SSD via the USB port. Loads up with sound, no problem. We can also connect to our wireless network. Then we paired up our 8-bit Do Pro 2 Bluetooth controller, and let's test out some emulation. Like Neo Geo, 3D arcade games, Tekken Tag Tournament, and Sega Model 3. Unfortunately at 47 FPS, this is playable but not perfect, nowhere near. We also tried some home systems, like the Commodore Amiga, full speed. As is PSP, we've got this running up to 4 times resolution. But its limit is PlayStation 2. God of War 2 is one of the heavier games to run, and here it is running at 1.5 times resolution. If we lower settings to native, we might get a few extra frames, but it's not all the way there. It's probably due to the CPU or memory speeds. Moving on to temps and fan noise, at balance mode it idles around 60 degrees, and this computer is pretty quiet. Let's have a listen. And it pulls around 13 watts. Under load, the CPU raises to around 68 degrees, and it's still a fairly quiet system. And it uses around 21 watts. In performance mode, there is a huge difference in performance. The CPU gets a little hotter, and the fan needs to generate a bit more noise. And it pulls around 33 watts. Since the CPU and GPU stress test didn't push the fan to full speed, we had to manually turn it on the BIOS, just to see how loud the system can get, not something you'd hear in normal use. It's about time for the teardown, and to get inside it's pretty simple. There's no need for screws, all we need to do is just pull off the top, and we're in. From here we have access to the memory, and we have 2 sticks of GMKtec branded DDR4. As they are removable, we can actually upgrade this memory if needed. We tested out 2 sticks of 16GB 3200MHz DDR4 with a questionable brand name, but unfortunately this APU is limited to 2400MHz on the memory, so no extra performance can be gained by using faster RAM. The G10 has 2 M2 slots, you can easily add another for extra storage, and the one inside this mini PC came with a heatsink attached. So yeah, this mini PC came with a Twisker. Yeah, budget end. Never heard of them. Wi-Fi adapter here is the Realtek 8822, and if you wanted to upgrade this, you could easily do so. If you wanted to do some maintenance, say change the thermal paste, we need to get to the CPU. To do that, we need to remove the rubber feet, but it's sad to say they're kind of stuck down, so it makes a bit of a mess. Now for the screws. And the bottom can be pulled off quite easily. And there it is, the heatsink and fan that cools down the whole system. To get in further, we need to disconnect the fan. There are 3 more screws. Nope. Now this can come right out. Here's the blower fan. And that piece of copper there covers the CPU. Arr. There she is. So I cleaned up the thermal paste and noticed that one of the MOSFETs was actually shorter than the rest. We're not sure if this was intentional in the design, but we added a small thermal pad here to ensure it also received some cooling. We then gave it some MX6 thermal paste. The temps didn't really change much, and it's probably safe to say that the performance is mainly limited by the TDP. Sometimes drivers can improve the system significantly. While we did remove them with the DDU tool, the only way to get something working was to install the Ryzen embedded R2000 drivers. Bit unusual, as these are mainly for industrial applications. Either way, these install fine, but may not be updated in the future like the regular Adrenaline set. Quick shout out to Roblox FanEdit for sharing this, who also has a review of the same PC on YouTube if you wish to check it out. It's about time for the pros and the cons. At the current price of under $200, you won't find a faster mini PC if you wanted to play some games. For maintenance, it's easy to open up to get to memory, storage, and even change thermal paste, and the small size can easily clip on the back of the monitor with the included VESA mount. Unfortunately, the out-of-box experience is extremely subpar. The mini PC is only worth using in performance mode, and even then, budget Intel mini PCs like the N100 are better equipped for emulation. We'd like to sim better cooling for the memory and storage, and maybe them cost-cutting measures went a bit too far. I mean, Wi-Fi 5? Really? The G10 is quite difficult to recommend. The GPU is fast, sure, but as a whole, it doesn't feel quite there. For the office, we recommend something like an N100 or N97, but for not much more, you can get a mini PC that can play and emulate far more, including PlayStation 3. Budget King? Nah. More like Budget Prince. Summary.
They sent me a box set, give it a spin. Low budget beast with a plastic grin. Specs look sweet, but don't be misled. Out of the box, it feels kinda dead. Push the watts, now it's alive. 45 TDP just to survive. 720p, it'll kinda play. But PS2 chunks and slowly waddles away. Not the king, it's only the prince. Not the king, it's only the prince. Looks like power, acts a bit like mint. G10's not the king, it's only the prince.
So you got this far? Hit that like button, and maybe subscribe. This has been Imi Chicken of Team Pandori, and I'll catch you on the next one. Ta-ra!